Hi, church. Welcome to today's digital devotion. Yesterday, word came out that James Dobson, the founder of Focus on the Family, died at the age of 89. And we thought it was important to define how the ministry of something like Focus on the Family differs so much from the ministry of places like Claremont United Church of Christ that ironically are also trying to focus on the family, but with a much different and much broader definition of family. We know that Focus on the Family did cause so much harm to so many people with its conservative, heteronormative definitions of family. It was an organization that staunchly opposed the transgender community, that emphasized corporal punishment on children, and so much more. We were both exposed to Focus on the Family as kids. I used to listen to their Odyssey series. You were telling me how you heard it on the radio growing up.
Broadcasted on our local radio. In snippets between radio programs. Yeah. I think the message was far and wide about how the importance of family, but that definition was so narrow. It was obviously a heteronormative family that definition left no space for gay families, for people who were trans, for any openness or all the things that make families unique and special. There was really no room for any of that in James Dobson's definition of family, and that's what makes Focus on the Family such an ironic and sad institution of America, which had such a far reach and influenced so many people, particularly in the conservative evangelical realm.
Yeah, and the definition of a family can be so much broader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how there's this book that I really like, an avowed atheist, Richard Dawkins, wrote it, called The Selfish Gene, and it talks about how our genes are programmed to be selfish, to only sacrifice for those who share our genetic material. But the book also says that as humans, we have the rational capacity to redefine the family unit, to not make it just those who share our genetic material, but to be anyone we choose. And we talk a lot about the chosen family.
Absolutely, yeah. We have chosen family who are friends that have come together because of various reasons. Perhaps your nuclear family that you grew up with doesn't accept you the way you are, or is dysfunctional or unhealthy in some way, and people create their own families as young adults or adults. And I think even within that definition of family, there's so many complications and nuances to what a family is. I know some people define the church as a church family, and some people like that definition, that metaphor, because it kind of fits the fact that we're all humans and our relationships go through periods of simplicity and ease, and through periods of stress and strain and tension. And I think that's probably true in every congregation. But but some people don't like that because it speaks to like a human family and all of its dysfunction, and maybe the church family is called to be something greater and better and bigger than that. But in any case, I think, the definition of family is so expansive, and we have so many examples of Jesus calling his disciples to him and talking about how this is his family. It's not necessarily the people that he shares DNA with. And so there's something really beautiful in that as people of faith, we create a family of those who are like-minded, of those who care about one another, who are committing to one another to go on this journey through life together. That really defines family.
Absolutely, and we see that in the church. Families with two parents of the same gender, families with a single parent, families with no kids,
yeah.
Families who are, like you said, just
blended
made up
families.
of blended families made up of just friends and acquaintances. And so multifamily homes. It's so much broader, and that's what the gospel message is we are called to always be expanding our definition of family, so much so that it eventually encompasses not only all of humanity, but all of creation. And so I feel like that is the heart of Jesus's message, that yes, we should focus on the family, but guess what? Your family is so much bigger than you ever imagined.
Right. And a big part of that too is if we're focusing on families and caring about families, then we should also be focusing on and caring about things like universal health care for everyone, and paid parent leave, and supporting families to have enough food and resources to support one another and grow their families. And in our case, infertility support coverage, things like that. There are lots of different ways to quote unquote focus on the family that our culture and our society could do so much better at if we were truly following the teachings of Jesus.
All that to say, we are grateful that you are part of our family, our church family, and thank you for being part of expanding what that means as wide as we can. We'll see you in church.
See you there.